share this day. John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life. And they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Alahym in you. Come to all the day, you receive me not. If you never shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one of another, and receive not the honor that comes from Alahym only? Do not think that I will accuse you, but there's one that accused you of Moses, in whom you trust. If had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? Daniel chapter 11, verse 32. Continuing on what we were dealing with on Wednesday about being weak and then being weak, being made strong. To show you how you're able to, that shows forth how you know you're Alahym and you're able to do the work of Alahym, but you're going to have to be weak in order to be strong. And I don't know if everybody ready to be weak so that they can be strong. Daniel 11 and 32 says, strange time. And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. But the people that do know their Alahym shall be strong and do exploits. So remember, people that know their Alahym, they'll be strong. They'll do work. Your objective is you want to do work. See, hold on, pause. John chapter 6. Whew. Verse 26. We can make it 22. 6 and 22. Just for context purposes. The day following, when the people withstood on the other side of the sea, saw that there was none other boat there, save the one where into his disciples were entered, and that Yahushua went not with his disciples into the boat, but that his disciples were gone away alone. Howbeit, there came other boats from Tiberias nigh unto the place where they did eat bread, and after that the Lord had given thanks. When the people therefore saw that Yahushua was not there, neither his disciples, they also took shipping and came to Capernaum, seeking for Yahushua. And when they had found him on the other side of the sea, they said unto him, Rabbi, when come you hither? Yahushua answered them and said, truly, truly, I say unto you, you seek me not because you saw the miracles, but because you did eat of the loaves and were filled. Labor not for the meat which perish. So remember, don't work for the meat that perish, but for the meat which endure unto everlasting life, which the Son of Man shall give unto him. You're making a mess. Pay attention to what you're doing, because you're making a mess. Yahushua answered them and said, truly, truly, I say unto you, you seek me not because you saw the miracles, but because you did eat of the loaves and were filled. Labor not for the meat which perish, but for the meat which endure unto everlasting life, which the Son of Man give unto you. For him have Alahym Abba sealed. Then said they unto him, what shall we do that we might work the works of Alahym? Yahushua answered and said unto them, this is the work of Alahym, that you believe on him whom he hath sent. So those who do know their Alahym and are made strong and do the work, it's because they are working the works of Alahym, which is to believe on the individual whom he has sent. So let's take a look at something, right? Something that you should be familiar with, and I'm going to be a little redundant, but nevertheless, Psalm 78. You have to be quiet now, please. Okay. Put that cup on the table before you spill it. Are you finished with it? Very well then. Psalm 78 and 1 is sufficient. We'll pull several things out of this cross-reference. It's going to work into what we're going to deal with, y'all willing, on tomorrow anyway. Bring things to remembrance that we done discussed previously. He said, give ear, O my people, to my Torah, Incline your ears to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old. So this is the thing that we have to look at. This individual here states that they're going to open their mouth in a parable and utter dark sayings of old. I want you to come to Psalm 49 and pick up your verse 1. You can hold Psalm 78 and then get you Daniel chapter 8 as well. And let's continue. From Daniel 8, we'll also get Revelation 13 and work in the process of making sense of things, because I mentioned this the other day, and it's just to lead it on down the line for tomorrow. Just a culmination, an amalgamation, if you will, of things that we have already discussed previously. Psalms 49 and 1. Hear this, all you people, give ear, all you inhabitants of the world. Pause, because I'm going to have to interject right here. It said to hear this, all the people, they need to give ear, all the inhabitants of the world. Let's get verse 2 though. But both low and high, rich and poor together. Let's take a trip to Revelation 14. Say everybody in the world need to hear it. Revelation 14 and 6. Everyone in the world need to hear it. Let's take a look. And we're going to do it double time, because it ain't necessarily referring to this time period right here, but you could see how it would coincide with this time period right here. And I saw another, this is Revelation 14 and 6, and I saw another Alahym fly in the midst of Shaman, having the everlasting basar to preach unto them that dwell on their rats, to every nation and kindred and tongue and people, saying with a loud voice, fear Alahym, give esteem to him, for the hour of judgment is come. Worship him that made Shamahin and the rats and the sea and the fountains of waters. You see this Alahym telling everybody to give ear and listen, or to hear the gospel. The gospel is being preached. Come on back to that Psalms 49, and we see the same type of language for the same type of point. Hear this, all you people, give ear, all you inhabitants of the world, both low and high, rich and poor. This is verse 3 of Psalms 49. My mouth shall speak of wisdom, and the meditation of my heart shall be of understanding. I will incline my ear to a parable. I will open my dark sayings upon the heart. Wherefore should I fear in the days of evil, when the iniquity of my heels shall compass me about? They that trust in their wealth and boast themselves in the multitude of their riches, none of them can by any means redeem his brother, nor give to Alahym a ransom for him. So now you're looking at it is those that trust in their wealth or their riches, this cannot redeem or ransom you from the wrath of Alahym. He said he's going to open a parable. Now, we just seen in Psalm 78, how this man made a statement that he will open his mouth and utter dark sayings of old. Come back to Psalm 78. Let's look at verse 3 before we take a look at Daniel chapter 8. Psalm 78 and 3 says, which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. So you've heard this word, you know this word, your fathers have told you. Now let's look at Daniel. Daniel 8. From Daniel 8 to Revelation 13. Daniel 8 and 22. Now that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper in practice, and shall destroy the mighty and Kadash people. Now we'll go more, Shalom, man. We'll go more into detail on this. Y'all will on tomorrow of what I have. I can't mail it all in at one time. But we've been talking about him understanding dark sentences. Now, we can go back and look at one thing, and but I won't go into the detail of what we will do on tomorrow with it. Come on back to Genesis chapter 3, which means I probably won't have you long tomorrow. So we're going to wrap all this stuff up, most high willing, of this particular subject matter and move on to the continuation. Whether you realize or not, what we've been looking at is showing us the mystery of Alahym and the mystery of iniquity in the same vein, along with the result of the eating of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and also what the end result will be from partaking from the tree of life. You know, most people don't want to partake from the tree of life. Most people don't want to partake from the tree of life because they don't believe in Alahym. See, most people's faith in Alahym is scant at best. To state the whole absolute truth, most people don't trust in Yah. The desire is not to Yah. The desire is not to be strong in the Ruach. The desire is to continually be carnal and be moved by their flesh, moved by their desires, moved by their emotions and the things of this world. Which is why I had mentioned that to y'all Wednesday, and I told you I reiterated again, and most high willing I reiterate again on tomorrow. Ain't no reason, especially when we all are assembled in person, that any one of y'all got no business on your phone scrolling on social media when your Alahym is talking to you. That's extremely disrespectful to him. And at that point, it shows where your heart is and what is the most important thing to you. And clearly, it ain't him. Because if you just think it's just me sitting here talking, or whoever is sitting there talking, who's speaking the word, because it doesn't really matter, you're going to have a problem. If you approach the coming to assemble to gather the word as if you approach it as going to school or a class, you have a problem. That is not what this is. It's not what it's ever been. It's not what it ever will be. This is the word of salvation. This is knowing someone claim you say you believe in love. And someone is telling you, all he does is send people out to tell him, other people about him. People who know, the people who he sends are the people who know him. So he's sending people who knows him, who are representatives of him, to talk about him to people who don't know him. Now we say we desire to know him, but yet we are bandied about with many things. Say, hold on, what is this, right? Hold this if I read what's in Genesis 3. Come over here to Luke, right? Let me see what it is, what I want to Luke, man. Luke 19. I always forget where it's at. It's always in my head. And it's been from day one when it comes to this particular matter. If not, I'll mention what it is. Most high willing is to come to mind, or we'll just deal with it later. We ain't got all night. It's just slowing down the flow. But what came to my mind was this. When Martha and Mary was in the house, and Martha had said to Yahushua, like, tell my sister to come help me serve. And he was like, Martha, you banded about with many things, but Mary has chosen that best part, and that we won't be taken away from her. And that's what some of y'all problem is. You banded about many things. I don't know how you could feel like on the set apart day, what niggas who outside the city got going on is important. Please make me understand that. When I'm talking about when the word coming, please make me understand that. Like your God talking, how is what a nigga who hates your God and consequently in return hates you, you know what I'm saying? What they got going on while your God talking to you is more important. Help me understand. That's all I'm trying to just help me understand. See, a lot of times y'all don't realize I ask certain questions because I'm trying to understand your thought process. I can't understand where you're coming from and why you're acting if you don't ask no questions. I know some of y'all may or may not be used to that. That's what people do to understand your thought process and understand your mind and understand why you make the choices and decisions you make. You have to ask questions. That's the only way you're going to know. Outside of that, you'll be speculating and assuming. Now, I can go with what the words say, what that action is, but please help me understand. Why do we care so much? You know what I'm saying? Like we've been talking about all week. The whole story of Nipsey Hussle passing is showing you how stubborn, idolatrous, worldly, carnal, and simple that this people is. And I say this people, I'm talking about those who profess to believe in Yahuwah. It shows how easily that your strings can be pulled, how easily you can be pushed, and how clearly you care about things that have nothing to do with you and are of no consequence. And usually 9 times out of 10, either you are an idolater who are wrapped up in things of the world and a keenly crafted entertainment segment and sector, or you have unresolved trauma and issues in your own heart and you're trying to live vicariously through these characters that come through your television screen. Or lastly, you just out here, man, just floating, and your emotions can be pushed, prodded, and moved in whatever direction that these people want to push them in. Do you know what I'm saying? Because we supposed to overcame the world. That would so long, man. Come over here to 1 John chapter 2. We supposed to overcame the world. So if we overcame the world, it shouldn't have that much of a pull on you. You shouldn't have that much of a concern for it, at least not on the Lord's day. This is to keep things in perspective. That's all it is. You got to keep, because the only thing we talking about really is mindset. It's the same thing I was telling y'all the other day when talking about being tardy. You know what I'm saying? It's just about mindset. You can be late all you want to, but when he shut that door in your face, it's going to be what it's going to be because of your mindset. If your mind is going in a particular direction, it's going to spill over spiritually. You can't toe with y'all, there's no gray area. You can't toe no line. You got to be on one side or the other. Do you know what I'm saying? We have to begin to realize that it's really just about mindset. And that stuff spills out in everything that you do. 1 John chapter 2 and verse 14, verse 13. Matter of fact, make it 12. I write unto you, little children, because your sins are forgiven for his name's sake. I write unto you, fathers, because you have known him that is from the beginning. I write unto you, young men, because you have overcome the wicked one. I write unto you, little children, because you have known Abba. I write unto you, fathers, because you have known him that is from the beginning. I have written unto you, young men, because you are strong, and the word of Alahym abide in you, and you overcome the wicked one. That's why he come back behind that and tell you not to love the world, neither the things in it. And if any man love the world, the love of Abba is not in him, because everything in the world is the lust of the flesh, eyes, and the pride of life, and that is not of Yah. You have to keep that in consideration. But you can't love what's going on out here and the niggas in it. I don't care how close you feel like you is to him. Because he told you that love is hatred towards him. You have to keep that stuff in perspective and move accordingly. If you're going to be sanctified, you have to understand that comes along with it. Now, if you don't want to be sanctified, it don't make no difference. As 2 individuals mentioned, they want to move on perfecting their faith. So if you want to move to perfecting your faith, these are part of the elements of said perfection. If you want to be complete, blameless, with integrity, no spots, no blemishes, that comes along with it. This talking about being a kased of the kased, a kadeshim of the kadeshim, a saint. See, that's a whole nother ball game right there. That's a whole nother ballgame. That's a whole nother conversation. That doesn't mean like, ooh, you sinner, get away from me. No. That's not what that means. Because he said you know him from the beginning. You've known him that is from the beginning. Y'all know what the words say. And Yah possessed me in the beginning of his way. In the beginning was the word. The word was with Alahym, and the word was Alahym. And the word was made flesh. I mean, you've known him who was created from the beginning. If you've known him who was created from the beginning, and you know that he was slain from the foundation of the world, he overcame the world at the beginning. I mean, you overcame it with him because you knew him from the beginning. And if you know him from the beginning, then your mindset would be like his. And that's what would make you a Kased and a Kased and a Kadeshim and a Kadeshim or a saint, because you talking about his mind. And his mind is different. You can be aware of things. You can indulge in certain things. But I know one thing. You think Yahusha would be caring about what a nigga got on Facebook or on Instagram or Snapchat or any God-forsaken media while his father talking? Now ask yourself that question. What child would disrespect his father by not paying attention to him while he talking? How y'all feel when your children don't pay attention to you when you talking? And if your children do you like that now, and you know you be scrolling and all that other stuff when the word coming, then you get what you deserve. And you better not complain about it or you'll be a hypocrite, because you do it when your father talking. You got to keep that in mind. This word is your father talking to you, period. If you don't see it in that fashion, then you'll never know him. You know, most young men and most young women, they love to sit down and they daddy to talk to them. They enjoy it. Some of y'all remembered if your daddy was in your life. You know how you felt. Probably still feel that way now. Y'all willing they still alive. You should feel the same way when your father in heaven is talking to you. It shouldn't be no different. You say you his son, you say you his daughter, and you would disrespect him in that fashion. Because I said it Wednesday, I say it again, I said y'all willing on tomorrow. If you can't keep your black behind off your phone, don't bring it and bring a physical book or stay at home. Because you can stay at home to scroll on your phone. You know what I'm saying? You got a house for that. Do that to the house. Don't do that there. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful to the Lord. It's disrespectful to yourself. It's disrespectful to me. It's disrespectful to the people in the room. It's disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? All the way around the board. Don't claim to be someone of honor and integrity and respect and do disrespectful things and then get tight if you get pointed out that someone tell you, I take that as disrespect. Because it's disrespectful. Because at that point, you telling everyone around you, most importantly, your Alahym in heaven, that this is more important to me than what we came here for. And you can stay at home for that. You can stay at home for that. Nevertheless, it was something else in my head. Y'all will and I'll remember it in a moment. Genesis chapter 3. We still got Revelation 13. Genesis chapter 3, verse 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which Yahuwah Alahym had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, have Alahym said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the tree, eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Alahym have said, you shall not touch it. You shall not eat it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. And if the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely die. But Alahym do know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Now, what he did here is he understood this. Now, one thing for certain, two things for sure. Eve didn't understand that parable. That serpent did, though. That's why he was able to tell her that. He understood. You can't lie about something you don't understand. You can't lie about something you don't know. You just thought he just threw a lie. He didn't understand it. Now, why do we look at that though? Because it says that man, that king with fierce countenance, he gonna understand dark sentences. So if he understands these dark sentences, that means that man can sit right up there and lie to you. He lying because he know what he's talking about. He may not have a great deep old understanding as everyone in Shamahim, but that nigga know enough to tell you a lie. Let's look at the word for understanding that. He know enough to tell you a lie. I'm referring to Daniel 8 and 23 of what we got for understanding that. And it's that ba'im. Y'all remember that word? That means he knows how to discern. He knows how to understand and consider. He can distinguish. He has discernment and insight. And he'll be able to teach it, which takes you back to that Daniel 11 and 30, where he'll have intelligence with the people. So him having those understanding of dark sentences, he can teach people something. Ooh, that's ugly. That's ugly. That is ugly. See, that's going to be a perilous time. That's going to be a perilous time. He's going to be able to understand to deceive. Come back to Revelation 13. and 11. And it says, and beheld another beast come up out of earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a serpent. And he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and caused the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound is healed. So remember now, here comes a man, two horns like a lamb, talking like a devil. He understanding dark sentences too. He coming like a lamb, telling lies. What is he doing? Luke chapter 1. Luke chapter 1 is sufficient. Luke chapter 1 is sufficient. Luke chapter 1 might not be what I need. John chapter 1 is a little better. John 1 and 29. No. John 1 and 15. Got this dude coming before this man, telling people to follow this man, same way John the Baptist came before the Lord to do the same thing. Let's see. John bare witness of him and cried, saying, this was he of whom I spake. He that come after me is before me, for he was before me. And all of his fullness have we received grace for grace. For Torah was given by Moses, but grace and truth came by Yahushua HaMashiach. No man has seen Alahym at any time. The only begotten son, which is in the bosom of Abba, he have declared him. But what is this man going to be out here doing? He going to say he Alahym, and that you would have seen it. And this man before him is going to be declaring that. And nigga going to fall for it. Man, I tell you all the time, you gathering together to hear the word for a multitude of reasons. But the number one reason is to deliver your soul. That's the number one reason. You know what I'm saying? And we could take all this stuff for granted. But when a situation and circumstances arise because you weren't paying attention or because other things were more important, just like he said, if you don't give more earnest heed to the things that you have heard, they will slip. He will take them from you. See, we look at it again, like I might ask y'all questions. I'm asking you questions in relation to, do you know your God? Not that we in a schoolhouse and I'm going to be jumping up and down to give you A+ on your paper or stars on a poster board on the wall. It ain't nothing but to see how well you know your God. Do you know the things that relate to him? Do you understand his character? Do you understand the nuances of who he is and what he is about and what his mission is? Because as I told y'all the other day, if you treat it like a textbook, if you treat it like school, desire to know and understand. If you don't, you can perish. I could wager why most people don't look at the word in that aspect, because you don't even want to desire to know and understand yourself. You don't want to desire to know and understand the people around you. You know what I'm saying? I've seen a lot of brothers say a couple things, and it's the truth. How the fact that we could be most sad and emotionally connected and invested in celebrities you've never met versus the people who surround you on a day basis. You know what I'm saying? That says a lot about us. And why is it that we don't connect emotionally and invest emotionally with the people that are around you on a day-to-day basis versus we're investing emotionally and connecting, which in reality is a character. Because you have to remember, it's television programming. The people that you see, I don't care what genre, because remember, they tell you that it's entertainment. They tell you that sports, whether it's football, basketball, baseball is entertainment, and you should be able to peep that with all the television shows that air, irregardless if it's on Fox Sports 1, irregardless if it's on ESPN, irregardless if it's on CBS Sports, irregardless if it's on NBC network or whatever the case may be. It's entertainment. It's men sitting around talking about particular topics to entertain people. So when you know that this is programming for the purpose of entertainment, that means the likelihood of it being fictitious is probably very high. You know what I'm saying? You see the same thing, regardless if it's music, or regardless if it's acting. They're characters and they're actors and they're playing a role. Because at the end of the day, you do not know these people. You know the character, but you don't know the person. You have to have enough discernment to know the difference between the two. Because the character very well may not be the person. You have to understand that. Do you know what I'm saying? You have to understand that. That's just simple discernment. That's just simple righteous judgment. It's nothing personal. No emotion involved. Just the reality of the situation. The Rock and Dwayne Johnson are two different people. See, you think you know Dwayne Johnson when you only know The Rock. You don't know him. I told y'all that when Bill Cosby was going through what he was going through. You know Cliff Huxtable. You don't know William H. Cosby III. You don't know who that man is and what he's about and what he's capable of. We talked about this the other day. People don't know Robert Kelly. They know the character R. Kelly. That interview with Gayle King, that was the character R. Kelly. Because that was some of the most horrible acting I ever seen in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like this can't be real. And these people are insulting our intelligence to the utmost. And the reason why I say this, because what do you think is going to happen when the world starts to switch, when this man raises up to power because you've been buying into characters to come to your television screen? You've been buying characters. You haven't been able to make the discernment between a character and the individual because you're buying what they're selling. Like I told you, man, you want to watch this stuff? It's cool. I ain't a problem with it. It's not a big deal. But you got to have discernment between the two. You cannot take this stuff as being reality. Because at that point, you're being deceived on a higher level that has nothing to do with the individuals coming through your TV screen. Because they are preparing you for something. Most people think it ain't got nothing to do with no New World Order. Bump a New World Order. Get your mind off a New World Order. All that junk is irrelevant. You understand? A New World Order is irrelevant to you. See, they've been having you looking for a New World Order all these years, myself included as a kid, but I ain't know no word back then. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't make no difference. All they doing is preparing you for the mystery of iniquity and the kingdom of Hashatan for a 3.5 year period. That's all. It's just the kingdom of the serpent. That's all it is. Ain't got nothing to do with no New World Order. It all got to do with this man trying to mimic Alahym. He want to teach the people and have the people in covenant with him and have his doctrine from one end of the earth to the other, just like Yahuwah said, my name and my teaching going to be from one end of the earth to the other. Peep the game and watch the play. You understand? I didn't watch the funeral because what I'm going to watch a nigga funeral for? You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're not a funeral of a nigga I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But I was told, which I was expecting that. You got niggas coming in here talking about Jesus. You got niggas around here talking about Allah. You got niggas around here talking about African ancestors, mixing all this stuff together. And all it is to get you prepared for the beast, because he going to be teaching you about all these things. Because Jesus ain't the Jesus of this book. Yeah, he going to pick the Bible up, but he going to be teaching you another Hamashiach, which one you hadn't had been preached to you. Then he going to be coming around here telling you about Allah. That Allah and the Mashiach is one and the same. Then he going to be telling you about your ancestors and voodoo and all that clapping, running around naked with drawstring skirts on. And he going to try to make it all be one and the same. And he was telling you about me and the peace that I'm coming to bring. Don't be no fool. Soon as you hear stuff like that, if you know your Alahym, that stuff's supposed to offend you. You supposed to be offended. That's an abomination in his eyesight. You supposed to take it the same way. I'm offended. You disrespecting my father. You disrespecting my household name. Do you not realize he said the earth is mine and the fullness thereof? And they disrespecting him in his house. And you say that you are a member of his household? He said they call Hamashiach Beelzebub. He said if they call the master of the house Beelzebub, what you think they're going to say about his household? Now let me tell y'all this here, right? And then I'll move on. I'll rant about it again on y'all willing on tomorrow, because that's just what it is. If you would have walked into that Staples Center on Thursday afternoon and stood up and said, boy, you nigga lying, that's not the truth of y'all, but the people would have killed you, boy. Now, what you think gonna happen in that damn time? Right or wrong, the people would kill you one. Now, what you think gonna happen when you stand up in front of these? See, but you know what niggas go? He talking about he disrespecting Nipsey Hussle. You a fool and all hell for that. What you care about Nipsey Hussle for? His soul is required. If you go along with the official narrative, it's over with him. It's over with for him. So ain't no concern. You niggas love sinners more than they love their Alahym. Ain't that a shame? And the excuse you come up with, he did stuff in the community. Your Alahym gave you an opportunity to eternal salvation by sending his son down here in the likeness of sinful flesh to put sin to death in the flesh and give you access to the beauty of the Ruach HaKodesh, that you might receive the works of everlasting salvation and be able to dwell in his kingdom and to praise and esteem him for all the days of eternity. And you worry about a nigga setting up some entrepreneur programs. You got to be the stupidest nigga in captivity. That's all it takes. That's all it takes for you to turn against your God, is a nigga open up an entrepreneurial opportunity. That's all it takes. Well, the beast gonna have an easy time then. Because you know why? Because you can't make the discernment between, yeah, that's cool what you did, but I roll with Yahuwah though. See Yahuwah over everything. You see the difference on that? Do y'all not see how people will try to shame you and ridicule you if you say that? And you can't disrespect that man. I ain't disrespecting him. He disrespected my God. Nigga, what do you mean? Nigga, every time somebody transgresses the word, that's disrespecting your Father in heaven. What do you mean? We don't see it that way because you ain't deeply invested in it. You ain't committed to it. You don't trust. You don't roll with him. You don't roll with him like he rolled with you. That's why I don't offend you. I see that stuff, it offends me. That's why I'm fool with it. That stuff offends me. It's like I can't even fool with no more, man. I just started trying to immerse myself in pop culture once again. Because, man, at a time period, I could care less. I be moving around too much to see anything on television, so who cares? Now, you have to have the ability to know the difference. It's the same token when we sit and we seen black, and then that's another thing, but I'll mention that tomorrow. Because we already went over that to a tab, but we'll expand on it further because I don't want to give it away too soon. Then we won't have nothing for tomorrow. It's not nothing in conjunction with what we're talking about. Verse 19 of John chapter 1. But just remember that though, man. Look at it. It should take. There's nothing that should cause you to be like bump your out. A nigga talking about doing something in the community shouldn't be enough for you to say you'll go against your Alahym for that. That shouldn't happen. Hey, we commend you, sir. That's a good word. Esteem out this man's life. If not, it's not of him. Who cares? In the construct, anything, because that's all it takes. But I told you this here. That's because niggas want to make the word a community activism. A black that's not what the word is for. That's not what it was created for. If you want to do community work, that's your desire. The community work that they were doing in the gospel was to other saints, if you want to be specific about it. You know what I'm saying? If you really look in the text, talking about taking care of the poor and doing this and feeding these people and clothing, put it this way. When the Mashiach said, if you fed me and clothed me and visited me in jail, who did he say you did it to? The least of my who? Least of my brethren. You know who he said his brother was. So when he was making it, hold on, let's just put it this way. John chapter 17, who did Yahushua say he prayed for? He said, I don't pray for the world. He said who he brought out of the world. You know, in the book of Jeremiah, Yah told him, don't pray for these niggas. Pray for these people. That's what he told them. Does that mean you just totally forsake our people that are outside the gate? No, that's not what that means. But I'm just telling you the things that have occurred. Well, I guess that Christian black church stuff from the 20s and the 30s, that's not what the word is for. So that's why people look at the church and say, well, they taking all this money. Why they ain't doing nothing in the community? They taking the money because they want. You already know that. Some churches do some stuff in the community. But if you were to go for the text, The community would have been other believers. They would have did for believers. What good is it if you went out here and fed the homeless and there was 100 saints that needed food and you ain't feed them? You ain't clothed them. That means you didn't clothe the Lord. You clothed the devil. Bending and homeless don't make them evil, but they transgressors. But if you show love to some, let's put it this way. It's a place where Mashiach told you in Luke, right? He told you when you call a feast, he said, don't call the people who can pay you back. He said, call the maimed and the blind, and you'll be paid back at the resurrection of the just. So it's certain things that you're supposed to consider that when you do that. When there is a kased, a kadashim, a saint that is in distress, and you did for them, you did for Yahushua, you didn't do for them because you saw him and you did that as if you was doing it unto him. If you do it to somebody in the world, then you're manifesting the love of Alahym towards them that it might cause them to consider him and you be able to hit him off with a little bit of word, a little bit of gospel, if you will. Know the difference. This is what happens. You'll notice when you know your Alahym, you'll know the difference. You know the difference. That's why when that lady took Alicia in the house, that's why she was able to get blessed with having a child, because they knew they ain't had no child. That was her reward for doing that. When you look at when Elijah went in that widow's home and they like this here, they ate during the famine because she accepted this righteous man. That's what happens. There's a difference. But examine the text for yourself. The stuff that they were doing that to other saints. That's who they were doing it for first. When you read in Acts and they say they were talking trash, they say the Hebrews were forsaking the widows and the ministration. And the apostle said, man, we ain't got time to be waiting tables. We're going to play into the ministry and prayer. Set righteous men over that to look over that. We ain't got time to deal with that. Set some just men up for that. Because they were looking out for those who were in the word first. You have to know that. You know the text, you know that. John 1:19. Remember, he keep covenant with mercy of thousands of them who love him and keep his commandments. So you have to know the difference. But again, most individuals will take these words and take it like they say F the Pope and F the people in the street. And that's not what's being said. Know the difference and know what type of work you're performing and how it's being performed. And know what the word is for. The word is to produce sons and daughters of Alahym, not to build infrastructure of a nation. That's not what it's for. It's not what it was ordained and sent for. Yahushua was not sent to do that. You don't see him doing that. That is a modern thing. And that's why people see that and say, well, why these Hebrews ain't over here doing this, doing that? If you do that, you do that on your own volition. That's not ministry work. That's not their word. That's not people who preach the gospel. They that on your own time. To the record of John, who did priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, who are you? He confessed and denied, not, but confessed, I am not the anointed one. They asked him, what then? Are you Elijah? He said, no. He said, I'm not. Are you that prophet? He answered, no. They said unto him, who are you? That we may give an answer to them that sent us. What say you of yourself? He said, I'm the voice of one crying in the wilderness. Straight the way of Yahuwah, as said the prophet Isaiah. And they which were sent were the Pharisees. And they asked him and said, why immerse you then, if you be not that anointed one, nor Elijah, neither that prophet? John answered them, saying, I immerse with water, but there stand one among you whom you know not, who he it is who coming after me is preferred before me, who said, I'm not worthy to unloose. These things were done in Bethbara, John Jordan, where John was immersing. The next day, John see Yahushua coming unto him, say, behold, the Lamb of Alahym, which take away the sin of the world. Now, remember, John was a docile man, too. In regards, he was not in a fight, not that he was coward. Because you know, that's the Prince of Peace, right? Ain't that what it say in Isaiah? That's what this man coming. That's why this false prophet got 2 lambs. So, see, he trying to bring in peace. Why is he trying to bring peace? Because they already said that beast is going to trying to deceive, understanding dark sentences. So then you have this false prophet, he talking dark sentences. It's going to seem like they know the word. That's why it's important for you to know the word. I even mentioned this with dealing with the poor, just for you to know the distinction. Because why? Because you're gonna see this wicked nigga out here doing that. He ain't gonna be messing with the saints though. Because he said he gonna crush and overcome the people of the covenant. He don't fool with you. That's why I'm sitting here trying to show you the difference. You're gonna see a nigga something in the community, and you're gonna be like, see, that's a godly man right there. You're gonna understand a little bit more. Or be like, yeah, that's the one. And when he get wounded and resurrect from the dead, you're going to say that's the Lord. All because you didn't know your God and the will of Alahym. That's all it is. Ain't no deeper than that. You got to understand the difference. Anybody can do good works. Anybody can do that. Remember what we just read in Matthew 7? What he said, right? We did many wonderful works in your name, right? He said, but I don't know you, cuz. You know what I'm saying? So you can't be fooled with that. The worst got to be paired in with the sanctification. How many people you know go down all the time? You got to know the difference. It's not there. And again, it's good to feed people who without, especially if you know what it feel like. But don't be fired though. Don't put stock in it. It's for salvation and righteousness and godliness is concerned. Don't put no stock in that. Back to Psalm 78. See, we stock in that stuff. Verse 4. He said, we will not hide them from their children, showing to generation to come the praises of Yahuwah and his strength and his wonderful works that he have done. For he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a Torah in Yasharal, which he commanded our fathers, that they should make them known to their children, that the generation to come might know, even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children, that they may set their hope in Alahym and forget not the works of Alahym, but keep his commandments, and might not be as their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation that set not their heart aright, whose ruach was not steadfast with Alahym. See, and that's the reason why I mentioned what I mentioned. See, right now, because Yahusha ain't being declared, and that testimony and those wonderful works that he done ain't being mentioned, you're not setting your hope in Alahym, and you forgetting his works. See, hold on. Let's pull up the words here. You forgetting his words. See, we always got to point out and look at what is Yah trying to derive from what goes on around us that we draw near to our Alahym. A lot of us don't want to draw near to our Alahym, so that's why they'll be offended by what I'm saying, because it's not it wouldn't be a popular perspective. You can't be the servant of Alahym and please everybody. Bad practice. Is when it's used for the most part. Usually a bad practice. You see that in Ayin and two Lamads. So what you end up seeing is how people experience chaos, and the shepherd trying to teach you away from your experience of chaos. Because what we're looking at in that verse 7, that they might set their hope in Alahym and not forget the works of Alahym, but keep his commandments. Because you've been experiencing chaos because you ain't been doing works. That's why he say, how do we work the works of Alahym? Believe on the one whom he has sent. When you can do that in the midst of being weak, you can be made strong. Because that's what we don't want to do. See, we got all together, everything's sweet. See, again, when most people in this day and time, nigga want you to come with a black power word, a revolutionary word. When it's a revolutionary act in and of itself to go against the world and serve Yahuwah. That's in the act of itself. Niggas want to build infrastructure and all this other type of stuff and are still not steadfast with your Alahym. See, I want to know that you might not be rebellious stuff until steadfast. Well, their heart wasn't right and their ruach wasn't steadfast. Pardon me. When we look at steadfast, it ain't nothing but that good word of mine. They ruach ain't faithful. You ain't established. You ain't firm. You ain't faithful to your God. And that's all I'm referring to, is all I'm talking about, is being faithful. You know, y'all niggas more worried about being faithful to your spouse than being faithful to your Alahym. How sad is that? If you can't be faithful to your Alahym, but you could be faithful to your spouse, you's an idiot. You should be more faithful to your God than your woman or your man. It's the same token. Some of the sisters and shoot, a couple of brothers mentioned shoot. I need to learn my God like I learned my husband, learn my wife. You were so concerned with you forgot about Yahuwah. You got to have that same fervency. And as a man, you should be wanting your woman to know your Alahym more than you want her to know you. Truth be told, if you would love her as Hamashiach loved his wife, she would be learning about him anyway. Just by your actions, she would be able to see the Lord. But nevertheless, John chapter 1. Praise Yah for the word. That's all you can do. John 1 and 11. The word is good, and Yahuwah is just and upright and righteous altogether, and all his works and all his words. And if an individual got a problem with it, screw them, because I feel like how David feel. If you are enemy of my Alahym, then I count you as an enemy, and I hate you with a perfect hatred. I don't fool with you, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Period. I feel how my God feel. You don't fool with him, I don't fool with you neither. It's all peace on my end. Ain't no pressure, but trust me, I don't fool with you though. And you can put that in your pipe and smoke it. And take it how you want to take it. Can't be walking around here worrying about trying to befriend people who hate your God and worrying about this and worrying about that. You better stand for Yahuwah on every corner. That's why these niggas be sliding up out of here talking about the black woman is God and she's God and they goddesses and praying to ancestors and all that stupid old junk, man. Nigga around here playing to dead people. Praying to dead people. That nigga's dead. You praying to a dead nigga for. Clearly you got to be of the devil. Because our Alahym say he the Alahym of the living. He the Alahym of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. What you mean? Nevertheless, man. He came unto his own, and his own received him not. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of Alahym, even to them that believe on his name, which were born not of blood, nor the will of the flesh, nor the will of man, but of Alahym. And the word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his esteem as the only begotten of Abba, full of grace and truth. That was just sit back and look at, right? He gave you the power. Now your heart, now your hope set in Alahym, just like Peter told you about. Let's look at it. What Peter told you. Peter told you about it. Peter was telling you what was in Psalms. We'll read that mainly because of what's around what Peter mentioned. 1 and 18, 1 Peter 1 and 18. I'm steadfast. I remember somebody a while back, man, a few years back, man, they were like, do you even believe what you preach? I say, nigga, if I ain't believe it, I wouldn't be talking about it. I feel just like what Paul quoted in the Psalms. I believe therefore I have spoken. I ain't finna be talking about nothing I don't believe in. I can't speak for other men. You know what I'm saying? My mind don't operate like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't go with the next thing like the wind. Let me go over here and fool with this and fool with that and fool with this. You know what I'm saying? I rock with what I rock with. I'm not finna mix it and meld it with nothing. I roll with Yahuwah Alahym and his son, Yahushua HaMashiach, and everything they talking about and everything they spit in every situation and circumstance, Yah willing, until my last breath come out my lungs. You know what I'm saying? Like straight up and down. I pray he keep my mind steadfast on his salvation until I take my last breath. I don't care about nothing outside of entering into his kingdom. Period. That is the number one priority. It trumps every single solitary thing that can be accomplished or experienced in this physical aspect that we call life. It trumps every single solitary relationship and opportunity that could ever be presented. There's nothing more important to me in this life than enter into the kingdom of the living Alahym. Period. I can't speak for nobody else. That's how I see it. That's how I've seen it since the day that I started. And Yah willing, that's how I'm going to see it till I take my last breath. Nevertheless, 1 Peter 1 and 18. For as much as you know that you were not redeemed with corruptible things as silver and gold from your vain conduct, which you received by tradition from your fathers, but as with the precious blood of the Lamb, precious blood of Hamashiach, as of a lamb without blemish and without spot, who was truly foreordained before the foundation of the world, but was manifest in these last times for you, who by him do believe in Alahym that raised him up from the dead and gave him esteem, that your faith and hope might be in Alahym, seeing you have purified your souls in obeying the truth through the Ruach under unfeigned love of the brethren. See that you love one another with a pure heart fervently. And we done discussed it before. And y'all willing, we might be able to transition into that sooner rather than later. But you notice that he said that you might love your brother with a pure heart fervently. You know what I'm saying? Don't get it twisted. Because you got to go out to the people so the people can have an opportunity to hear the gospel. The gospel got to go out to people who don't know Alahym, that they might repent. We already seen that in Psalm 49 and Revelation 14. But again, that's reiterating the point that you supposed to love those that's in the word. You supposed to think about the people who are in the word as you think about your own flesh and blood. That's why I was telling y'all the other day, you can't look at it as you're a group of individuals. You're one and the same. You can't have one without the other. It's not 15 different families, 45 different families, 60 different families. It's just one family. There is no individuality in the body of Mashiach. That's why we have the chaos that we have. Because individuals are selfish. Because you only think about yourself. And that's all you care about. You don't look at your brother as yourself. You don't look at your sister as yourself. So you don't have the concern for them as you have for your own household. That is not the doctrine of Alahym. That's not the doctrine that's in the Torah. That's not the doctrine that's in the prophets. That's not the doctrine that's in the Gospels. That's not the doctrine that's in the Acts of the Apostles. That's not the doctrine that's spoken of in the epistle letters, because it is not the will of Alahym at all, period. Never has, never will be. You know what I'm saying? You can't, and you see it like that. If we see it how and do it how y'all tell us to do it, you'll see the beauty of the kingdom of heaven right in your face. You'll see the beauty of it. You'll see the beauty of godly love right in your face. And it's a beautiful thing to see. See, most of us are worried about if people are fake or phony. You can't be worried. Stop worrying about it. That worldly stuff, that's what worldly people worry about. Who cares? You got to do it as you're doing it is unto the Lord. Whether they fake or phony or not, they would have known that Alahym was in you as a truth and they experienced the love of Alahym. What difference does it make? Why you worrying about being played by somebody? You can't be played if you serve Yah. You can't be played if you serve Yah, because Yah seen it. Yah gonna increase and bless you for it. And I ain't even talking about increasing you and blessing you with nothing physical. Nevertheless. But being born again, not a corruptible seed, but of incorruptible by the word of Alahym, which live and abide forever. So he mentioned about the many wonderful works of Alahym that we know. I wanted to swing to John chapter 20 in regards to that. Because now we need to start talking about a little work, a little reward, a little weakness, a little strength, a little salvation, you know, just a little bit. John chapter 20, verse 27. You know, thank y'all for the word, man. Thank y'all for an opportunity to have an ear to hear it. Thank y'all for the opportunity for the mind to seek it. Some of y'all need to go back to where your mind was at when you first started, when you first heard it. Shoot, like my nigga just told me, I wouldn't even have no morals if it wasn't for y'all. You wouldn't even have no standard if it wasn't for y'all. You wouldn't have nothing if it wasn't for y'all. You ain't got no ability to be around here lackadaisical. What's the word I'm looking for? Complacent, if you will. You know what I'm saying? How can you be complacent and you still alive? You can't. You feel like Paul. I done finished. I done fought a good fight of faith. It's time for me to lay down. It's time for my decease. Ain't nothing to be comfortable about. You know, I get inspiration and moved at any time. You know what I'm saying? I can get inspiration just from hearing people have a conversation. And you know what I'm saying? And they may not even be talking about nothing that directly is relevant to the word, but I can hear it. You know what I'm saying? And I can see the manifestation of certain things. My job is just to warn the people and teach them about your God. That's all. I don't really have nothing outside of that. Sport is dealing with this text. I pray we all enter into his kingdom. And when I say all that seek after his word, Not just us who on the stream or gather up every week, every feast. I'm talking about all who seek after the word. That's my desire, that they all get in there. Y'all willing to give your mind and heart that strong to seek after it. Yeah, it's definitely a race. I'm glad you said that since you mentioned that. Pull this John chapter 20, get this 1 Corinthians chapter 9. It's definitely a race. Oh, I ain't put that up, did I? No, I was. I just seen that. I realized I didn't put that up. It was crazy that I was one up. 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 24. He said, know you not that they which run in a race run all, but one receive the prize? So run that you may obtain. And every man that strive for mastery is temperate in all things. And again, this is going back up when we said they want to perfect their craft. Self-mastery is part of the perfection of the craft. So when you're running a race and you're striving for mastery, you got self-control in everything. I mean, you can control your emotions in every single solitary situation. Nothing that occurs can move your emotions. This is why I mentioned to y'all the other night when we was going through that list of questions, and it was like, you know how you make decisions, and that's for real. Like every decision that I seek to make, I seek to line it up with the text first. Period. That's the first thing I'm gonna do before I would even ask anybody, before I would make supplication to Yahuwah about it. You know what I'm saying? Before I do any research in the matter, I got to make sure that this decision, choice, situation, or circumstance, well, shalom, Brother Dennis, will not contradict the word. Got to run it by the word first. Because if you run it by the word, your likelihood of success is going to be 100%. You know what I'm saying? You might not get the outcome you desire. You might be sad if you don't get the outcome that you desire. But if you make your decision according to the word and do it by that and work it by his work, I guarantee you to make sure your soul gets spared. And that's the most important thing you ought to be concerned with. Not getting what you want. Not being concerned if it was the right decision as in regards to man's eyes. But as long as it keep you on the right side of your Alahym, that's the most important thing of the play. Nevertheless, and every man that strive for mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we are incorruptible. I therefore so run, not as uncertainly. So you're running not because you're again. Now we were talking about this here right the other night too. So a lot of things you do in life, they're uncertain. It's uncertain if you just because you have a job that your company is going to be open the next time you schedule to go to work. See, you think that because you done got complacent and comfortable, you think it's going to be there. See, a lot of people felt that way in 1929 before the stock market crashed and the Great Depression started. You know what I'm saying? You keep that in mind. And see, some people are like, well, that was 90 years ago. Don't think it can't happen again because you got a small taste of it in 2007 when the Great Recession happened. See, that's what, and because you get complacent and comfortable, that's why you think that certain things will always continue and go as they are, and you will have to show you. Now, I can't speak of things overseas, but things overseas happen like that all the time. You know, the whole country of Greece went bankrupt. You don't know about that because you don't live there. You have no idea about the stuff that go on overseas and the uncertainty in certain aspects of life. See, when you look at America, we know it's only two things that are certain. That's taxes and death. But if you serve the living Alahym, then you know that if you're running a race of salvation, you're not running as uncertain as if you don't know what's going to happen. You know full well if you believe on Yahushua, the scripture has said, eternal life is at the end of that race. Now, you know what's funny? That you got a whole bunch of niggas walking around here talking about the marathon continue and may not have no idea in living hell what that really might mean. You know what I'm talking about? All you know is a nigga mentioned that and that was his album or that was the name of a store and you ain't got no idea what these people gonna have you repeating. You have to sit back and look at it. If it come from the media and from entertainment circuits, it could be something behind that. Doesn't mean that it is, but it could be. It's possible. Now, he could tell you better than I can because he was in the music business and he can only tell you by his own eyes what he's seen and what he experienced. You know what I'm saying? I remember when we used to have dealings with an NFL player, and we used to ask him, is this stuff these niggas be making in these videos, is they telling the truth? Is they capping? Is they exaggerating? And that nigga just didn't want to talk about it. He'll change the whole subject of the conversation. Now, I can infer and speculate a lot of things on why he did that, but all I can say is he didn't want to talk about it. That's all I can say. I can tell you that. Because I'm just not going to believe it because a nigga on YouTube said it. But I find it funny when these people come up with catchphrases, and we know these people are witches and warlocks in real life. So you have to be cognizant and aware of that. That's what discernment is about. It's awareness. It's awareness. 9:26 again, 1 Corinthians. I therefore so run, not as uncertainly, so fight I, not as one that beat the air, but I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I preach to others, I myself should be a castaway. Now, why should I be a reprobate? Reprobate silver, worthless, and no good to Alahym. There's a lot of reprobate niggas out here. But you know why they reprobate? Because they don't keep the word in their heart. You don't move by it. So he turned you on over like a flapjack. Come on to John chapter 20. There's a lot of people been turned over like a flapjack. A lot more coming. A lot of people don't believe in y'all because y'all don't move when they want them to move. Or why you don't see this or why you don't see that. You worrying about the wrong thing, baby. Need to be worrying about Alahym. But you can't follow something you don't believe in. Notice that he say he don't want that swing at the air as uncertain. That's skill. Remember, that's wisdom. That's Kopma. That's skill in war. He said, I know how to fight. I'm not uncertain because I got the knowledge of my Alahym, which is faith. I've heard of him. Now I know how to move like him because I got the knowledge. So I got understanding. So I'm able to keep my body under subjection because I got the insight. I know him. That's how I told y'all that the other night. That's how them three things work. You get the knowledge, now you know. You get the wisdom, you know how to move. You get the understanding, you know him. And when you put all those three things together, you get the Ruach HaKodesh and everlasting salvation. But nevertheless, John chapter 20, verse 27. You can make it 26. I say praise be to Yah in the name of Yahushua. And all those who seek after his face, just keep on going. Bump what other niggas talking about. And bump what they got going on. Whether they profess to be servants of the living Alahym or whether they don't. And after 8 days, again, his disciples were within and Thomas with him. Then came Yahushua, and the door being shut. He stood in the midst and said, Shalom be unto you. Then say he to Thomas, reach here your finger, and behold my hands, and reach hither your hand, and thrust it into my side, and be not faithless, but believe. See, a lot of y'all faithless. So you sticking your hand in his hands, and you thrusting your hand in his side, but you don't believe that it's him. You don't believe that it's him. That's why you don't turn around and react like Thomas reacted. And you don't say this to your master and your Alahym because you don't believe it. See, when he seen that, he said, oh, boy, that's him. I've been a fool. Yahushua said unto him, Thomas, because you have seen me, you have believed. Baruch are they that have not seen, yet have believed. And many other signs truly did Yahushua in the presence of his disciples, which are not written in his book. But these were written that you might believe that Yahushua is the anointed one, the son of Alahym, and that believing you might have life through his name. See, that wasn't even the verse I want. I think the verse I wanted is 21. There it is. I take both of them though. Both of them work lovely. 21 and 22. See, if you know the things that's done in this book, then you might believe and be saved. But niggas don't believe. After we pull this out, pause. We're going to come on around here and get you Judges 16 and 7, and Isaiah 14 and 9, maybe 14 and 7. Because I'm pretty much good with the beast on what he's doing. We'll elucidate on that a little more, y'all willing, on tomorrow. We were just talking about how he going to come through with these dark sentences, manipulate. But we got to deal with Yahushua coming through, showing you these dark sentences, how you know your Alahym and in weakness you made strong. And because you made strong, you know your Alahym and do the work. Nevertheless, John 21 and 22. Yahushua said unto him, if I will that he tarry till I come, what is that to you? Follow you me. Then went this saying abroad among the brethren that the disciple should not die. Yet Yahushua said, not unto him he shall not die, but if I will that he tarry till I come, what is that to you? You see how that, even back then, nigga take what somebody say and go say what they want to say. You see how that works? Boy, he said, John, he ain't never gonna die. That ain't what that man told that man. That man told people, telling Peter, if I tell him to sit here till I come, what that got to do with you? And that's how some of y'all need to look at certain things in regard to the word. Whatever y'all told somebody to do, let them go do what y'all. Stop worrying. That ain't got nothing to do with you. Focus on what you got to do. That's what black people biggest problem is. They worry about what a net man got going on. Worry about what you've been sent to do. This is a disciple which testified these things and wrote these things, and we know that his testimony is true. And there are also many other things which Yahushua did, the which should be written, every one. Suppose that even the world itself could not contain the books that should be written. Amen. That's a lot of work to do, Andy. That's a lot of work to say the whole world shouldn't even be able to contain. Suppose that the whole world itself couldn't contain it. Telling you about all the work this man done. Come over here to Judges 16 and 7. Let's look at a little bit of work. Just a little bit of word. I thank y'all for the word. Y'all just don't know. Y'all know I do this stuff every year like shoot. So you niggas be like, I stay to the house on this, that, then the third. Well, I got to work every day. Word got to be preached. Our God got to be esteemed. I thank him for the opportunity. I'm talking about you. When you hear the word, let's put it this way, right? Because this is how you should feel on the inside. I'm talking about in your spirit, not in your flesh. Not like that. That's just like this here, right? When the word of your Alahym come out, you should just feel an esteem and a pride about hearing about your father. Would you agree? You know what I'm saying? Like, boy, that's my daddy. Boy, my daddy hold it down, man. You know what I'm saying? Boy, my daddy loved me enough to sacrifice himself for me. You know what I'm saying? That's a beautiful thing. I ain't know him. He made sure I know him. He made sure I could be just like him. That should make you feel good on the inside. Make your soul happy. Make your spirit rejoice. You know what I'm saying? Any of y'all on here, spirit just rejoice in the middle of the day for no reason. Your spirit ever rejoice in the middle of the day for no reason. Anybody, I guess y'all not going to answer that. I need that door. No, your spirit ever rejoice in the middle of the day? Just for no reason. That's a different type of joy. Ain't even no reason. You don't even know why it's doing it. It's not conscious. Just do it on its own. All right, like that son beat the brakes off. Beat the brakes off, man. I know it did. It was hot as fish grease out there. So, boy, that type of heat that'll make you reassess your life. It's like this here. Do I really want to do this for a living? That would make it do. When you work outside in the state of Florida, that just make you ask yourself, ooh, boy, I know the niggas who work on them rules be like, do I really want to do this? 16 and 6. Do I really want to do the judge? 16 and 6. Okay, I see you, Trina. I don't know how them boys get up there on them rules, boy. Woo-woo. That's like an easy bake oven time 13. You ever been on top of a roof in the middle of the day? You're a better man than me. Because I ain't going. I ain't going. I'm going to find me something else to do. It got to be something else for me to do. But that ain't it. I ain't mechanically inclined no way. But shoot, messing with my hypertension, I'm going to fall out. Because I definitely was going to fall out of urethra the other day, and I wasn't even on nothing. I was just inside. That's the sad part. Nigga, inside. 16 to 6. Make it 5. And the lords of the Philistines came up to her and said unto her, enticing, see where his great strength lies, and by what means we may prevail against him, that we may bind him to afflict him, and we shall give you every one of us 1,100 pieces of silver. Don't think Judas here. Where can you see the Pharisees operating in this instance? Because you can see, this line up with what happened with Judas. You know what I'm saying? But where can we see the Pharisees doing this in another place? About the enticing and seeing where its strength lies. Oh no, that was Satan actually. Yeah, we'll be looking at that a little bit on tomorrow. Yeah, that was Satan. Ain't that something to ask somebody? Go and jump up off this group, man. Angels gonna catch you. That's what it say. Nigga, what I look like. You know what I'm saying? You imagine somebody ask you to jump off a roof just to prove y'all with you. Messing with some of these brews in these days and time, those stupid niggas probably do it. When they paid them two people a lot. No, I can see where you can do that. That's a little different though. But yeah, that might be called to it. These brews wild though. I really believe some of these brews are Satan tempted them right now. And they was on a tall building. He said, jump off. You know Psalms 91 says that they won't cause you to dash your feet apart. I'll show you. Maybe like this here. Y'all shot. Y'all this here. Jump off the roof. Next thing you know, you're gonna be hearing about a Hebrew pancake in New York City. This nigga was splattered on the concrete. He done jumped off the roof. Talking about the angels was gonna catch him. You done tempted Yahuwah, you big time. Well, you can sit back and see that it's like Luke 11, where they were enticing him to catch him in his speech. You know what I'm saying? So they could see where his strength lies, so they could take him and kill him. You know, they were always trying to catch him in his talk, find a way so they could afflict him. And he would never. That's one of the reasons why he would say, what did he say? He should say, why tempt you me? You know what I'm saying? What you tempting me for, bro? I know what you're doing. I know what you up to. That's why you have to be careful when you talking with people and you dealing with the word, because some people just trying to catch you up in your talk so they can bend and caught you in the sin. Remember, that's what happened with Nehemiah. He said, you're trying to get me to sin with my lips. Verse 6, Delilah said to Samson, tell me, I pray you, where your great strength lie, and wherewith you might be bound to afflict you. At least she ain't lie about it. At least she told him what it was she was trying to do. She definitely didn't lie about it. Pretty straightforward when you say. She ain't lie about it now. Samson said unto her, if you bind me with 7 green whips that will never dry, then I shall be weak and be as another man. Then the lords of the Philistines brought her 7 green whips, which had not been dried, and she bound him with them. Now there were men lying in wait, abiding with her in the chamber. She said unto him, the Philistines be upon you, Samson. And he brake the whips, as threads of a toe was broken when it touched the fire, so his strength was not known. Delilah said unto Samson, whoa, Microsoft. And Delilah said unto Samson, behold, you have mocked me and told me lies. Now tell me, I pray you, where your strength, wherewith you might be bound. He said unto her, if you bind me fast with new ropes that were never occupied, then I shall be weak and be as another man. Delilah therefore took new ropes and bound him therewith, and said unto him, the Philistines be upon you, Samson. And there were liars in wait, abiding in the chamber, and he brake them off from off his arms like a thread. And of course, they went through all that and this, that, and the third. But when we look at the word for weak here, to become weak, in Judges 16 and 11, it's kalah. You have a kot, a lamad, and a hay. So when you're in a weak state, so to speak, we see how the man with raised arms teaching is going to separate you. Remember, we started Wednesday that my strength is made perfect in weakness. And we've seen that with the 3 Hebrew young men that were tossed in the furnace of fire. They were in a weakened state, but because the man with raised arms taught them, that separated them. It didn't allow the fire to burn them. It didn't allow that fire to have any power on them. As we looked at in Revelation 20, how the second death doesn't have any power on those who are part of the first resurrection, because the word of Alahym is abiding in them. So when you look at this here, at the weakness that he was in, let's turn around and look at how he ended up becoming weak. And of course, y'all know the ending of the story, how he ended up becoming strong through the midst of his weakness. And when we'll look at that with Yahusha, so let's drop down a little bit. Pick it up about verse 15. And she said unto him, how can you say, I love you, when your heart is not with me? Oh, man. Sit there and think about that, right? And we kind of looked at that in Psalm 78. Look at what she said. How can you say you love Yahuwah and your heart is not with him? How can you say that? How can you say you love Yahuwah and your heart is not with him? You have mocked me these 3 times and have not told me where your great strength lies. And it came to pass, when she pressed him daily with her words and urged him, so that his soul was vexed unto death, as you've seen with Yahushua, I'm exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death. Then he told her all his heart, and said unto her, there have not come a razor upon my head, for I've been a Nazarite unto Alahym from my mother's womb. And if I be shaven, then shall my strength will go from me, and I shall become weak and be like any other man. Now, we know they didn't shave Yahushua's head, but we know he ended up becoming weak like any other man. Now, you know that's the word kazak. Let's make sure that we still have the same word for weakness in this Judges that we had in the other place, in the other verse, verse 11 to be exact. Now, it's a word for strength here, and it's koach. So they don't have kazak here, and that's the strength or the power of Alahym, you know, the kaf and the kot. So the work that separates would depart from him. Now, him being separated, Yahushua being separated, that's going to depart from him, because now it's time for him to do his work, which is to perish. His strength has to pass. He becomes weak like any other man. But hold on. When Delilah saw that he told her all his heart, she summoned and called for the lords of the Philistines, saying, come up this once. He has showed me all his heart. And the Lord of the Philistines came up under her and brought money in their left hand. So let's look at when Yahushua showed all his heart to get ready to become any other man. Matthew 26. Matthew chapter 26, verse 23. After that, John 13, that's what mass. And he answered and said, he that dip his hand with me in the dish, the same shall betray me. The Son of Man go as it is written of him. But destruction to that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It had not been good for that man if he had not been born. Then Judas, which betrayed him, answered and said, Master, is it I? He said unto him, you have said. And as they were eating, Yahushua took bread and baruched it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, take, eat, this is my body. And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, drink you all of it, but this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. Now, we know we looked the other day how he was embraced and persuaded of the promises. But now you can sit back and to a certain extent and see how he has gave them. Because before, anytime they tried to grab him and kill him, Yahushua was able to shoot on out the way. Now, at this instance, he done gave them out his whole heart. Now they know where his strength lies, meaning, i.e. Judas. And now they're able to grab hold of him because now he's going to be weak like any other man. But let's look at another aspect before we look in John 13. Let's look at Hebrew chapter 2. From Hebrew chapter 2 to John 13. And from John 13, matter of fact, let's not do that. Let's go straight to Isaiah chapter 14. Let's not do that. Let's tie in the other witness to what we're talking about today right now. Isaiah 14 and 7. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet, and they break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at you. Cedars of Lebanon saying, since you are laid down, no feller is come against us. Now let's look at this here. Fir trees rejoicing. Cedars of Lebanon saying, since you are laid down, no feller is come up. So let's see what it means. Let's see what we can derive. Let's see what understanding can be imparted unto us by the words of our Alahym. What you over there talking about, little baby? When we look at laid down, it's shakav. It is literally lay down, to rest and relax. Shan, kaf, and bat. So you see how you get paired to the work of the Son because he laid down. Remember, he saw that rest was good. He said it's necessary for him to die. Let's continue. Let's look at feller. When it says no feller has come upon us. When we look at the word feller, it is karal. It means to cut off, to cut down, to cut off a body part, to cut out, to eliminate, to kill, to cut a covenant, to cut a body part, to behead, to make a covenant, to permit to perish. Got a calf, a rosh, and a towel, so you can sit back and see how the right hand or the highest right hand has made a covenant. So when it says, since you were laid down to kill, or death has not fallen upon us. Look at what he's telling you in this instance. When you were laid down, death hasn't come upon us. We haven't been killed since you laid down. That take you to say the wages of sin is death, but the gift of eternal life is in Yahushua HaMashiach. He said he came to give you life and an abundance. So when you see this here, that these fir trees are rejoicing and the cedars of Lebanon are saying, since Yahushua, because people say, oh, see that for, that's about the king of Babylon. Come on, really? It's about Nebuchadnezzar not laying down and nobody being killed since he laid down? Absolutely not. Let's look at verse 9. Hell from beneath is moved for you to meet you at your coming. It stir up the dead for you, even all the chief one of the earth. It have raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nation. Now we know full well who this is. This Yahushua, this people, this the resurrection of the dead here in verse 9. This definitely ain't Satan. Nowhere in the book do it say the grave's gonna move for Satan. Definitely ain't moving for Nebuchadnezzar. That's insane. But verse 10. They say, all they shall speak and say unto you, are you also become weak as we? Are you become like unto us? So this is what they asked this question on. You become weak like us? You like one of us? How this happen? Now the word for weak there is kalak, what we've been already looked at. Become like is mashal. It means to represent, liken, or be similar, or compared to. It also, can be referred to as a proverb. So when you see Mean, Sean, and Lamar, you can see how this blood will pair you to a teaching, because it said you done became like one of us. Well, how can this blood pair you to a teaching? Let's see. Now we can go to Hebrew chapter 2. Because we already seen how the blood paired to a teaching when he say, this is my blood shed for many, the New Testament, many for remission of sins. Because they asked the question, you become like, where can we read anywhere in the text where Satan become like one of us? We already know that King Nebuchadnezzar was one of us. He was a man. It says this individual who they asking has become like one of us. Not only stopped death and cut a covenant when he laid down, but he also caused graves to be moved at his coming, all because he was made weak. Or because that man with raised arms teaching separated, or how his father's teaching separated. And this is showing you how the gospel separates when you're able to become weak or suffer with a Mashiach so you can reign with him. Hebrew chapter 2, verse 10. No. Yeah. Verse 9 is sufficient. We're going to read a lot more than we should, but it's not going to. Hebrews chapter 2, verse 9. But we see Yahushua, who was made a little lower than the Malachim for the suffering of death, crowned with esteem and honor, that he, by the grace of Alahym, should taste death for every man. Indeed, it's a hard saying. And look at what you just seen, right? It said that he should taste death for every man. Now let's go back and look. I don't want to make an emergency call. I just want to pull my app up. Now let's look at here in Isaiah 14 and 7 again. The whole earth is at rest and quiet, and break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at you, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since you are laid down, no fella is come upon us. Since you done laid down, ain't no death come on us. Since Yahushua laid down, ain't no death came on no man. If death come on you, it's because that's what you wanted. Then it said hell from beneath. And just so anybody's not aware, so you can see what it said in the language, you already know hell is Sheol. That is literally the grave. So graves are moved from beneath. Let's see what beneath is. From beneath is moved. It is regards. It is to tremble. It is to quake. It is to quiver. It is to be agitated, to be perturbed, to quake, to be disquieted. Now, can we not read in Zechariah chapter 14 at about verse 4 that it say at the coming of the Lord, the earth gonna quake? Well, let's look and see for those that are not aware. That's how you know the beast gonna be lying, because is the earth gonna be quaking when he appear? Or graves gonna be moving when he come? Zechariah 14:4. And his feet shall stand that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof towards the east and towards the west. And there shall be a great valley. And half of the mountain shall remove toward the north and half toward the south. And you shall flee to the valley of the mountains. And for the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azal. And yea, you shall flee as you fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah the Malach of Yehuda. And Yehuda Alahym shall come, and all the saints with him. Let's come over here to Isaiah 24. Let's get some witnesses. Isaiah 24. 24:3. The land shall be utterly emptied and utterly spoiled, for Yahuwah hath spoken this word. The earth mourn and fade away, the world languish and fade away, the hardy people of the earth do languish. The earth is also defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they've transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, and broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore the curse have devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of earth are burned, and few men left. The new wine mourn, the vine languish, the merry-hearted do sigh. I still ain't ran across what a verse I'm looking for. Did I miss it? I know he said the earth will reel to and fro like a drunkard. Clearly, I believe it's here. That's because I sat at the top there. 24:1 though. Say, Yah make the earth empty, make it waste, turn it upside down, and scatter the inhabitants thereof. But that's still, I know it's a spot where he say the earth gonna shake like a drunkard. You remember what I'm talking about? Some of y'all ever been that drunk? I ain't never been that drunk. Oh, here it is. 24:20. It was in the right spot, but I was too high. Says we'll make it verse 18 though. Make it 17. Make it 24 and 15. Wherefore esteem you Yahuwah in the fires, even the name of Yahuwah, Alahym of Yasharal, in the isles of the sea. For the uttermost part of the earth we have heard songs, even esteemed to the righteous. But I said, my leanness, woe unto me. The treacherous dealers have dealt treacherously. Yea, the treacherous dealers have dealt treacherously. That's the scribes and the Pharisees taking Yahushua out. Fear in the pit and the snare are upon you, and O inhabitant of the earth. It shall come to pass that he who flee from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit. He that come up out the midst of the pit shall be taken in the snare, for the windows from on high are open, and the foundations of the earth do shake. The earth is utterly broken down. The earth is clean dissolved. The earth is moved exceedingly. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage. And the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahuwah shall punish the host of the high ones that are on high, and the malice of the earth upon the earth. And that's him taking out them angels, them fallen angels, if you want to call them that. They shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered into a pit, and they shall be shut into prison, and after many days they shall be visited. And that's where it tells you in Revelation how Satan will be put in the pit for 1,000 years, if you weren't aware. Some of you should have been aware, but if you weren't aware, you're aware now. Revelation chapter 6. Praise be to Yah for the word. It might be chapter 5. No, it's chapter 6. 6 and 14. And Shamahim departed as a scroll when it is rolled together. Every mountain and island were moved out of their places. Ain't nothing but an earthquake gonna move a mountain out of place. So just keep that in mind. Earth trembling at its coming. Hell beneath is moving for him at its coming. Hell ain't moving for Satan. Satan ain't coming from nowhere. You don't even see Satan in the last day. You don't even see him. Satan is in the beast and in the false prophet working in them. You don't see him. When the beast come up and say he Alahym, the grave ain't moving. Ain't nobody gonna be rejoicing with this nigga when he lay down. Do you not realize, son, also in that regard? Praise y'all, because it just came up. we're looking at Isaiah 14, not John. My apologies. We're looking at Isaiah 14, and it states how I say the fir trees rejoice and say, since you are laid down, no fellow has come up against us. And we see that when Yahushua laid down, he resurrected from the dead. You've seen the other saints that got up with it. Those other saints are sitting there going around showing them, let's look at it. Let's just look at it. I'll get this. We finish in Revelation. Let's just look at it. Matthew 27. That's all we got to do. We just look at it. Ain't got to talk about it. We can just look at it. See it for ourselves. Praise be to God. That's all we can do. We just go look at it for ourselves. 27 and 50. I praise y'all for the word. You know, sometimes, man, I be sitting back thinking about stuff, what we could go over, so much stuff. I be forgetting stuff. It be so much stuff be going through my mind. I don't be writing stuff down. So I be praying y'all willingly bring it back to mind at the time. But every single time, he just give a little bit more understanding that we might understand his will and his way, that we might not be deceived, that we might be able to overcome them by the blood of the Lamb, like it said in Revelation 12, like we've seen with them 3 Hebrew boys, like you've seen with Samson, like you've seen with Yahushua and every righteous man in the book. They overcame by the word. No fear. That's what they was built on. Nevertheless, 27 and 50. Yahushua, when he had cried again with a loud voice, yielded up to Ruach. And behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top to the bottom, and the earth did quake, and the rocks rent. And the graves were opened, and many bodies of the saints which slept arose, and came out of the graves after his resurrection, and went into the Kadash city, and appeared unto many. When you laid down, ain't no death fell on us. That's what you're supposed to look at. When you lay down with it, ain't no death coming on you. Got to lay down with it. You can only do that because you believe. You can't do it if you don't believe. Nevertheless, let's look at the next thing that's in there. Where I was at? Oh, verse 9. That Isaiah 14 and 9. Just getting the words up out of there. Now, for to meet you, that word is kara. It means to encounter. So that means that the grave is moved from beneath thee to encounter him when he arrives. And we know the dead in the Mashiach shall arrive first. That's what he told you. When you look at coming, it's the word bo. It means to come in, to enter into. You know, he entering into the earth, coming from heaven. Nevertheless, this is definitely not who we've been told it was. I would say to stir up. Stir up is to rouse oneself, awaken, or incite. The word is So again, it's telling you that he's going to awaken the dead. This is what it's telling you. He's going to awaken the dead. We know who the words say going to awaken the dead. It certainly ain't Hashatan. It's certainly not the devil, that old serpent. And it sure as hell ain't King Nebuchadnezzar. Somebody showed me Nebuchadnezzar stirring up the dead. He dead. How he gonna stir him up? What power does Satan have to stir up the dead? No power at all. Hebrew chapter 2. Verse 9. For we see Yahushua, who is made a little Lord in the Malachim for the suffering of death, crying with esteem and honor, that he by the grace of Alahym should taste death for every man. For it became him who are all things, by whom are all things, and bringing many sons unto esteem, to make the captain of their salvation perfect through sufferings. For both he that sanctified and they that who are sanctified all are one, for which cause he is not ashamed to call them brethren, saying, I will declare your name unto my brethren in the midst of the synagogue, will I sing praise unto you. And again, I will put my trust in him. And again, behold, I and the children which Alahym have given me. For as much then as children are partakers of flesh and blood, he also himself likewise took part of the same, that through death he might destroy him that had power of death, that is, the devil, and deliver them who through fear of death were all their lifetime subject to bondage. For truly he took not on him the nature of Malachim, but he took on him the seed of Abraham. So they say, you become weak like one of us. Remember what they said to him on the tree? If you be the son of Alahym, come down, save yourself. But you weak like one of us. You weak like one of us. But in that weakness, he was made strong. Let's take a look at 2 Chronicles 15. Matter of fact, 2 Samuel 17 and 1. 2 Samuel 17. Oh, that's not 2 Samuel. That's Chronicles. That's why I'm like, that doesn't say that. That's not accurate representation. All right, then bamboozled if you will. 2 Samuel 17 and 1. Moreover, Ahithophel said unto Absalom, let me now choose out 12,000 men, and I will arise and pursue after David this night. And I will come upon him while he was weary and weak-handed, and will make him afraid. And all the people that are with him shall flee, and I will smite the king only. And I will bring back all the people unto you. The man whom you seek is if all had returned. So all the people shall be in Shalom. And the same pleased Absalom well, and the elders of Yasharal. Then said Absalom, call now Hushai the Archite, and say, let us hear likewise what he say. Now, of course, he said something a little different. You know what I'm talking about? But this is kind of apparent from verses 1 to 2. What did you hear, sir? Because it's pretty apparent. Y'all should be able to tell what it is. Pretty apparent. Say, let me choose out 12,000 men. I'll arise and pursue after David at night. Come upon him when he weak, make him scared. Everybody that with him gonna hit it. I ain't gonna hit nobody but the king. I ain't gonna hit nobody but the king. Nobody. Let's look and see what we see. Of course, the word for weak I've already isolated. But let's look at arise and look at pursue. Or just pursue, really, because arise is a qualm. So when you look at pursue, to be behind, to follow after, or to persecute. Radaf is the word. Now we know when Yahushua got hit up, there was a lot of people with swords and lanterns, wasn't it? Pursuing at night. It's a very simple thing, but we're looking at weak. He said, let me come up on him when he's weary and weak-handed. When we look at weary, we see the word Yagah. And when we look at weak, we get the word Rafeh, which is slack or to be weak. You have a Rash, a Pei, and a Hay. So in the time where this man was weary and weak-handed, it's the chief or the man with raised arms spoke to the highest. Because what did Yahushua do when he was weary and weak-handed, when they were coming after him, when they wanted to pursue and kill him and make him afraid that everyone would flee and they would only smite him? Let's look at his words of what he did. Well, we don't have to look because y'all know what it is. In Matthew 26, he prayed and he asked for the cup to pass. And he prayed that 3 times. In John 17, he prayed that we may be one with him. And he prayed for those that were in him. And he prayed for those that would believe on him through his apostles' word, that everyone might know that he was set from the foundation of the world. And he was stating how they did not know him, i.e., his Kadash father. So when we sit back and you see that, of course, that everybody fleeing is the apostles, and they only smote Yahushua. That's what I'm telling you. Places of where the apostles fleeing is in multiple locations. And what do we see? We see Absalom, an individual who wanted to be in Yahushua's place, or in comparison to the Pharisees, the same way he wanted to be in David's place, and he was moved by envy in order to kill the king. Now, the king he's asking to do this when he is in a weak state. That's why I say that my strength is made perfect in weakness. Because even when David was in a weak state, he still overcame Absalom. Yahushua overcame at the last in the same situation. This is why when you taking up your stake and follow him, you're able to say that I'm willing to become weak that I might be made strong. And when I'm made strong, I'm able to do the work of Alahym. You know what I'm saying? David's work was to do the Psalms and to prophesy. Samson's work was to be able to destroy the place where the Philistines were gathered and take out the Philistines in order to deliver to the house of Yasharal from their hand. This was the work that they were sent to accomplish, because in the midst of being made weak, they were made strong. Because his strength is made perfect in that weak. Samson was as strong as all outdoors. And the only weakness he had was his hair being cut off. And he had to be humbled down for the purpose that Yahuwah could strengthen him again, and that he would rely completely on Yahuwah. Not saying that he didn't before that, but you get the gist of what we're referring to. Let's take another trip. The 2 Chronicles 15. And we'll get ready to wind it down on that. But in order to do the work, you got to be made weak. You have to humble yourself. See, a lot of people are not willing to be weak in order to be made strong and suffer whatever it is that they got to suffer in order to be made strong. And this is why most people despise righteous men and righteous women in whatever aspect and form that they find them in. 2 Chronicles 15:7. It just says as simply as this. Be strong, be you strong, therefore. Matter of fact, we can back up. 15:3. Get the full little context for you. Now, for a long season, Yasharal had been without a true Alahym, without a teaching priest, and without Torah. But when they in their trouble did turn to Yahuwah Alahym of Yasharal and sought him, he was found of them. Now let's look at salt here. That's the thing you have to look at. When you're in your trouble and you seek after Yahuwah, he'll find you. Because it said he was found of them. He found you, you ain't find him. Just let that be known. Just let that be known. When you look at trouble, the word is sar, which is a little narrow, a little tight, a little distress, a little enemy, no press on your head. And we could deal with that in another aspect, but not now. But the word for sought him is simply bakash. Y'all should remember bakash. To seek, to require, to desire, to exact, to request, to seek the face, to be sought, to seek to secure. You ought to seek to secure your Alahym when you seek after his face. Now, when you look at the word characters for that bakash, it's simply Bak, Kuf, and Shan. And you can see how that final son pairs. He ain't going to consume you. He going to pair you when you seek after him. That's no different than people seeking after a partner in life. You'll be paired. That's why he said what Alahym was brought together. No man split asunder. But we could take that and move that in a different aspect. But we don't have time right now. We running. We can't run you all night. 15 and 5. And in those times there was no shalom to him that went out, nor to him that came in. But great vexations were upon all the inhabitants of the countries. That's what Mashiach told you in Matthew 24. That's what we see right now when we're looking at that we ain't got nowhere to go in or come out. And nation was destroyed of nation, and city of city, for Alahym did vex them with all adversity. Be you strong, therefore, and let not your hands be weak, for your work shall be rewarded. And when Asa heard these words and the prophecy of Oded the prophet, he took courage, put away abominable idols out of the land of Judah and Benjamin, and out of the cities which he had taken from Mount Ephraim, and renewed the altar of Yahuwah that was before the porch of Yahuwah. Notice he said when he heard them words, he took courage. So when he heard the word made him strong. Let's look at the word for courage before we even look at anything else. He said when he heard these words, he took courage. And his Kazakh, yet again, he was strengthened, he prevailed. Kat, Zayin, and Kuf. We done already talked about that word. When you know your Alahym, you'll be strong and do the work. He heard the word, he took courage, he was made strong. It's because he knew his Alahym and he did the work and he put sin out of the city. That was the work he had to do. See, that's why a lot of people ain't able to do no work, because you don't believe the word. So you don't take courage, you don't take the strength. But the word for work here that we came here for. Of course, you know the word for strong again here is Kazakh. The word weak is the Rapha, which we've seen in 2 Samuel 17:2. But work, Palua, that is your reward, your wage, your recompense. It's pay, Ayin, Lamad, and Hay. So guess what? You get the word will allow you to experience the teaching of the man with raised arms. And that goes back to what we read in John. Well, what's the work of Alahym? To believe on him whom he hath sent. And then you will get the reward, the recompense, the wages of everlasting life that is contained in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach to all those who believe the gospel. Come on and sit down, son. Then when they look at it, it said, and you shall be rewarded. That word rewarded is sakar, and again, that's your wages. Sean, Kaf, and Rosh. Sean, Kaf, and Rosh. To be paired to the palms, to the chief's palm, or how you want to put it, be paired to the work of the highest. And again, it's taking you back to that purifying of the ruach, of the love unfeigned. And it shows how you knew him from the beginning and you were able to overcome the world. And this allows you to do the work. See, you can't do the work until you know your Alahym. You can't know your Alahym until you hear the word, which takes us back to when we were talking about that my people are destroyed from a lack of knowledge because they reject knowledge, because you reject the gospel. The gospel was contained right there in that Isaiah 14, clear as day. Clear as day. We've been told many divergent things, but the gospel was there. You ain't even got to get to verse 12 talking about no Lucifer. We just know the gospel's there. We know it's there because it was talking about the resurrection of the dead. It was talking about the resurrection of the dead. This man said, when you just said that those cedars said, when you lay down, there was no killing coming on us, no death when you lay down. You were made weak so we could be made strong. And so we could go do greater works than you. So when you know your Alahym, you'll be strong or kazak and be able to do the work which is manifesting the gospel of your Alahym. And it all as simple it is to receive your reward. Stay strong and take courage. Be strong according to the word. Hear the word and take strength. Because why? Because he keeping perfect shalom whose mind is stayed on you because he trusts in you. Trust in Yahuwah forever. For trust in Yahuwah is everlasting strength. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 51. This is where we'll conclude for the evening. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is your sting? O grave, where is your victory? The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the Torah. But thanks be to Alahym, which give us the victory through our Lord, Yahushua HaMashiach. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be you steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as you know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. So, hallelujah for Yahushua and the word. Prayerfully, everybody understood all these things this evening and understood that the aspect of how, even though we didn't go to great in minutia in detail, but when we looked at what's contained in Isaiah 14 and a little snippet with David in 2 Samuel 17 and what we seen happen with Samson and Judges 16, it was all pointing to the fact of great men who were made weak so that they could be made strong in the last and to overcome their adversaries. In Isaiah 14, that adversary was death, if you pay attention to the whole thing that's being elucidated. In 2 Samuel 17, it was David overcoming Absalom. In Judges 16, it's Samson overcoming the Philistines. All of these are adversaries and foes, which were representative of the adversary and foe that is represented in Isaiah 14, which is death, and him who had power over death, which is the devil. When they all were able to do this because they heard the word. And that's what gave them the strength to prevail and overcome, or the courage. You can't have it without it, because when you hear it, then you know him, and that's what gives you the strength. That in the midst of weakness, you can be made strong and overcome. There's no shortcut. There's no way around it. It's just what it is, and that's what it's always going to be. So I bless y'all out the house of y'all. In the name of Yahushua, I love all y'all. Appreciate everyone's time. You who are willing, we'll pick this up on tomorrow. We'll be streaming, so no need to fret in that regard. And you who are willing, we'll pick it up from there and go from there. So until that time, I bid you adieu. You all right, boy? It's 11 o'clock at night, son.